Still muted? You know? Oh, yeah.
It's frozen. I don't know if they can hear us out
Oh.
there.
I
Someone's
can hear
watching.
you now.
I thought that was me.
Yeah, but it's just frozen at Geek News Now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Great. Let's see if I can force it some way, somehow out of this. I don't know what's
No, I
happening.
kind of want to see. It's
I just pulled up the live. It's working.
Yeah, we're working. That was weird. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Sith Dominion podcast. This is your host, Dr. Dana Martin. And wow, we're coming out of the gates just like tripping. Good evening, fellas. We have Cam. How are you, Cam?
Doing phenomenal. Glad to be here as always.
Absolutely glad to have you. And Zane, who's all fuzzy because I don't know what's going on with his iWebs, but yeah. Hi, Zane. How are you?
pretty good.
Oh, wow. It's like watching Kung Fu. That's amazing.
Get the roommates off the Wi-Fi. We're back in 2005, baby.
Take them off. Oh, my goodness. So, man, we just coming off of Thanksgiving, but we didn't stop. We had a show last week, and we're having a show this week. Last week, we talked about Darth Krayt, and spent a lot of time talking about Dave Filoni and all the fun that hopefully we're going to have with him in his new role at Lucasfilm. And we talked a little bit about the Acolyte, not just because I released an article about it, but because it really is going to be something cool, I think, with Sith lore. For Sith lore and fans of seeing that expounded upon. So that was last week. This week, wow, we have a full plate again. Darth Talon has one of the strongest cult followings of any character standalone that I'm aware of. And we're going to talk a little bit about her. And we're also going to talk a little bit about maybe some top 5 overpowering force abilities, some of which we've talked about on these podcasts. These force abilities that are just, come on, give me a break. And then we got some other news. But to start off, let's talk about the holiday. So, synopsis, high level. Give me something that was awesome about your holiday. We'll start with you, Cam.
Honestly, we saw a lot of family. I loved the weather. Weather felt very holiday like, and overall just catching up with some family members we typically only see around the holidays. So it's just good. It's a good week of travel and fun weekend overall.
And you had off like Thursday and Friday, so you had a little long weekend. Or...
My work is open on Fridays, but I took off. Yeah, so I had a long weekend, which was great as well.
Nice. Zane?
Honestly, did a lot of driving.
Yeah.
That's what my holidays were like. A lot of driving.
We had a really, really low-key holiday with Charlotte's family, and I got a chance to see you, Zane, one last time there in San Marcos, play your Beatles set for the marching band. Not marching, but for the marching band. On Kit. That was really cool. Great set, great music, and it was fun to watch. And that game was amazing. Go San Marcos. Wow, Bobcat. Go Bobcats, right? Yeah, Bobcats. Okay. I have a T-shirt, but I only have one. So yeah, I had a great time, but now we're back at work. And on that note, I do want to point out that next week, I know we're just getting back into the swing of things, but I've been called away to California for work for next week. So we will not have a broadcasted Sith Dominion show. However, just like the last time I was in California, we will have on Tuesday night at least an hour-long segment on TikTok Live, trying to be at the beach. Depending on the weather, I'll broadcast from the beach again, and that was pretty cool. That was fun. We got some good content from that. So, that was a mouthful, and that took a whole 5 minutes for the intro. But I think we can move on. There is a couple of things, and one of which that has picked up steam is this next bit of movie making from Lucasfilm with Taika Waititi as the showrunner. And I'm a little concerned. We were talking in pre-show about how, am I missing chats? Oh, I forgot the chats. Yo, yo. Oh, it's Josiah. What's up, Josiah?
Yeah, Josiah, what's up, baby?
on another podcast with the Diva Dads, we had the joke that we had 7 fans, and they were very loyal 7 fans, and they were always here. We have 1 fan. We have a very loyal fan who's always here. Thank you, Josiah. Taika Waititi, you got to kind of take with a grain of salt. The guy was first and foremost a comedian, and you see that come out in his acting and in his writing and whatnot. So you can't really trust everything he says. But I would like to kind of speculate based on some comments he had. He talked about it being more like the feeling you get when you were a kid watching for the first time. And what do you think that means? What does he mean by that?
I'm gonna keep it real. I'm not a big fan of some of his comments, even the comments in this article. I feel like he just doesn't. I feel like the last thing the fan base needs is a movie that's gonna piss people off.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've had enough of those, but I think that if he wants to recapture making films that made us feel like when we were kids, I think that that's a good start. I think honestly, first and foremost, like George always said, even with the prequel hate coming out, that it was made for kids. It was made for like when I was a kid, you know what I mean? And Zane too, like those were the movies we kind of grew up on, you know. And as kind of dumb as Jar Jar was, I mean, I'm sure there were kids in the theaters that were just loving it, you know. So, I mean, I think if you go off of Thor Ragnarok, I think he can make a good movie. It just depends on, again, kind of like I said last week, respecting the characters. And I think what the Miss Marvel actress said too, making the audience care for your characters too. I think that's something that OG trilogy did, and the prequel trilogy did as well with their, with their characters. So I think if he can capture that, I think he can do it. I don't think he started off on the right foot with his comments, but his movie's not coming out in the next 5 years, so these comments will probably be a mute point by the time it actually comes out.
Yeah, and one of the things he said is essentially, I'm paraphrasing, it'll take as long as it takes, right? He's not, I mean, and they're giving him that freedom. And with that kind of freedom, unfortunately, I believe the fan base is going to increase expectations the longer it takes for him to push out a piece. Zane, what do you think?
Well, specifically going off of the first kind of quote that was stated, where he wants to capture that joy, you know, that you had when watching the original trilogy. I think he wants to make something more magical and mystical and unfamiliar as those were. Because, I mean, at least whenever I remember watching it, it's this different feeling, you know? Mm-hmm. When I watch the prequels, I know what's already happening, and I know it's intense and it's there, but when I watch the original trilogy, it's like, oh, what is this? What is happening now? It's a lot lighter and just more airy in regards to tone.
Yeah. And I think, to your point too, Cam, that kind of mixes. Kids don't need these huge kids. That demographic that these movies are made for does not need the huge, complex arcs where you're like, what is what and what? If that's what he's trying to capture, then he's going to be right on par with what George has done or did. And it will piss off fans because they want to see something that they've grown into, which kind of, I think, leads to some other things we were talking about in the pre-show. 2 games coming out in the next 2 years. One, Star Wars Outlaws, is a bounty hunter that essentially wants to get out of bounty hunting and has a way out. Really dark. You're shooting people and killing. I mean, it's not just Jedi Survivor where we got to save and do that. No, it's like straight up, I got to get out of here. Those sort of darker themes and Eclipse. We've gotten a long trailer for it that didn't really tell us a lot other than High Republic and some darkness. So, but again, both of those alluding to a more adult audience. Do you feel that it would behoove them to break away from the demo that they're normally making these shows for, with the successes of Ahsoka, Mandalorian, that are more adult in theme? Do you think these movies should trend that way?
I think Star Wars is at its best when it's kind of leaning towards an adult theme overall, because I feel like, especially with the bounty hunter situation, I mean, of course, they're going to be killing people trying to get out of stuff that they've been doing kind of just to survive, you know what I mean? And I think I kind of disagree. I feel like Survivor at some points was dark, you know what I mean? Like,
True.
and Fallen Order as well. I think when, especially post prequel trilogy, I feel like the galaxy is kind of dark, you know what I mean? And I feel like they need to tap in more into that. And I would argue like the KOTOR games when I was growing up were kind of dark in a sense, and I kind of enjoyed them even being a 10-year-old, you know what I mean? So
The development within KOTOR of dark side lore was huge for the universe, the Star Wars universe, no doubt. I agree, 100%. And I had not considered things like that. Now the sweater game, just the Old Republic MMO. I was saying in pre-show to you, Cam, about how I played that when it first came out for 3 or 4 years, and then turn around another 3-4 years later, Zane's playing it and played it for nearly 10 years. Like it's crazy that this game has had this longevity, and it is adult. Kids play, but the themes and the amount of slashing and killing and whatever, it just oh, hey, what's up, Darth Zane? How you doing, Dave? David, if we're still doing the thing, I'll talk about it on the show. I don't know when that's going to be, but are we going to do that, or you tell me? If you text in here in the chat, I'll talk about it. Otherwise, I won't. Yeah. So I appreciate that. I think when you look at where the most money is made, it's not made with kids and toys anymore. It's made on pay-to-win games and the Black Series $35 action figures that we're never going to take out of the box. That's where that real money is being made. Now, does the costumes and the sabers and all the fun stuff that we had as kids, but now it's like way better. Well, yeah, the kids are buying it and the adults are buying it because we love that stuff. I mean, I'm sure you each have something in your like I've got lightsabers like a dummy. What am I going to do with these lightsabers? I don't know. I have them on display. But I'm sure each of us have some Star Wars something that's like, why do I have this? But I have to have it. What is that? What do you got?
It's my Thrawn pup.
Thrawn. Oh, look at that. Is that a rare one? I don't know.
Yeah, they only made 2 of these types, and the other one with the different stickers worth $200 more. But
oh my goodness!
Hold on, my wife's bringing me what I have.
There. Oh my goodness!
It's the Luke pop.
That's what's in reach.
Oh yes! Yes. I love that.
That's awesome,
man. And I saw another one at the I think it was like GameStop or something. Had that something. And I was like, oh, I need that. I don't need that. I'm gonna walk away. But if it shows up in my stocking, it'd have to be a big, wide stocking. I wouldn't complain.
I feel like too with the more adult theme, like I mean, you showed Zane Star Wars, right? My stepdad showed me Star Wars. Like it relies on them appealing to the audience that grew up with it, has shown their kids, and then I hope to one day show my children, and you know what I mean. And I mean, Star Wars is for everybody, in the grand scheme of things, even if it's a darker tone. You know what I mean? And I feel like by appealing to the fan base that grew up with it, who are going to want to show their kids regardless of kind of what's on the screen. You know what I mean? I mean, if it's PG-13, like you're going to take your kid to go see it, probably. Honestly, they just got to just keep giving us good content, man.
I mean, you said episode 3 is your favorite, and it was by far
the
most adult of all of them. You didn't have teddy bears. You know, you had Jedi literally being shot down. Like it was tough. I could only imagine being as old as I was in '84. I was like 10 or about to be 10 when Jedi came out, and it was or '83, and it was like, my God, this is tough. I mean, his dad's trying to kill him. Like that was for me huge. Now it's like that's nothing, man. That's so the series has grown. I would agree. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's fun to speculate. Ultimately, we're going to get what we get, and hopefully Disney has learned some lessons already in whatever they're trying to not do right now, that we get some really good stuff.
Quality over quantity, Bob
Amen.
Iger said for the 5th year probably in a row.
Yeah, don't give us another, ginormous planet killer or solar system killer thing that we only have small, tiny thermal exhaust.
Starforge.
All those Starforge would be pretty badass. And they've already, it's canonized. It's in Rebels. So, yeah. Last kind of thing in the HoloNet series. Okay, I'll hold off then. I don't want to show that. We're working on something really cool here at Geek News Now, and hopefully have a really cool something to share with everyone later. Last thing in the news was, this is a great article I read today on Geek News Now. Shameless plug. I released something I would love for everyone to go over and take a look at and destroy, because lists are always controversial, and that's what makes them so fun. So I came up with a list of top 5 overpowered force abilities, of which I would say there's 2 that are really some of my favorite. I know, Cam, you mentioned one while ago in the pregame. You want to bring that up?
I got some thoughts, man. I've got some thoughts. All right, so the last one that Dana puts in the article is force healing and transfer, done by Kylo Ren and Rey in The Rise of Skywalker. If you've seen that film, I've only seen it once, so my memory might be a little hazy, but I remember just being absolutely flabbergasted, because as a kid, I'm like, that's all Anakin wanted to do, man. He saw his wife dying in childbirth in a dream, and he just wanted to be able to save his wife. Well, hypothetically, he could have been able to do that if he got the training, and apparently you can just do it with no prior training or 3 minutes of training. I mean, it makes no sense, and I feel like it what's the right word here? It makes the prequels kind of pointless, because you're just able to do it with, I don't know, it's probably explained in some book I haven't read. But
it seems very like it devalues his quest, right? I mean, like I think I understand what you're saying. Like it takes away from his drive, motivation, and then it's like a final slap in the face to the Anakin Skywalker character of, this person just did it. How about that? Yes, there were force healers in Legends, no doubt about it. To the extent of the life saving, and then giving up that life again back into the. So they both learned this. Right. That's what I think you're getting at. It's so confusing. What? And then how Obi-Wan could do it, he just wasn't good at it. Where did I miss that?
I'm gonna keep it real. George always said, I love Legends, I'm getting into it too, but George always said the movies are canon. That's what a lot of the fan base is going to see. And if it happens in the films, which I feel like it'll be talked about in another pod, it was their goal. They wanted to make something more original trilogy-like, because they thought people hated the prequels back when the sequels were being made. So, You know what I mean? It just kind of falls in line. I get there's stuff in books and the comics and all of that, but majority of the fan base isn't going to be tapped into that like
Right.
per se us three. And so it's just kind of going off what you see in the movies, and if that's just something you can do now, it's just kind of
Well, the Obi-Wan Force heal thing that she's talking about was actually in episode 4 when Obi-Wan touches Luke's head after he's ambushed. It's part of the Clone Wars book. Well, it's believed, I've just looked it up. The rumor is, right, the theory is that he healed Luke in episode 4 because he literally did the same kind of movements as Rey did.
Okay.
So,
why are you not on the show tonight?
please.
You're
I don't
killing
read
me.
Clone Wars.
Not you. Solo girl. Why are you not on the show tonight?
come on, Solo Girl. We need you on the pod. We got to talk
We
about
haven't been
this.
on the show in a while. You need to.
We got to talk about this.
I think that's a great segue into our official kind of discussion tonight, which is Darth Talon. Except for I forgot what we were segueing because Solo Girl threw me off with the Clone Wars. The Force healing and the never mind. I lost the segue. Forget it. We're not going to segue. Keep talking.
We don't need a segue. Let's hop right in.
Let's just talk it.
Fired up.
Right in.
Darth Talon. Man. So there's some good. No, you're not sorry. You're not sorry. Let me jump over and do this right here. We're going into the dark side deep dive. Dr. Dana. Hold on. We got to do this thing because I got it for real this time, though. Check it. Here we go. So, Darth Talon. Twilight. A mutated Twilight because she was red. That was a mutation. Yes, Darth Talon is in the Legends or Expanded Universe of the one Sith, which was Darth Krayt in his dream. And she was a loyal follower of not just him, but his vision. There's a lot to unpack with this character. It is the one of the most cult following of any kind of minor Star Wars character there is. Just an amazing character. When my first experience with Darth Talon was in the video game. Well, I started reading the Yojung Bong War, and then started getting into all the One Sith Order and all that, and I just stopped. So I didn't get a whole lot of her. I had to get all my stuff later, and it all kind of started with the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes game, which is a mobile game, and you could get her as a character, and she was absolutely sick. I have yet to complete her, progression to get her super awesome, but you put her in there with some of these cats, these other Sith, and she just owns. So that was my first experience was, Darth Talon, who is this? She's amazing Sith assassin. What were you guys' first kind of foray into Darth Talon?
Honestly, just some leaks about George's sequels, and that she was supposed to be kind of the trainee or was trained by Maul, And it was kind of like when I would have been like 15, 14. I was like, it's just a girl version of Maul. So, and I was just like, that's kind of cool. And now having read more up on about her and kind of reading her storyline, it's kind of cool. I mean, I said it in the pre-show, like she might have been the most loyal Sith of all time, possibly.
Yeah.
Which is kind of odd for the Sith in general. But I mean, she's a cool character. It would have been cool to see her concept on screen. But maybe we'll get it in a TV show, or I don't know.
They brought Thrawn in from the Legends, and he's not exactly like Thrawn was in the original Zahn stuff, but pretty dang close. And I would love to see that worked in, like you said. And yeah, George Lucas saying that Darth Talon would have absolutely been in what he was wanting to do or what he would have done is huge for that character too. Zane, what do you think?
Well, the first time of me seeing Darth Talon has just been a lot of fan art.
Yeah.
I follow a lot of Star Wars pages, and so, well, I'm not talking that kind of fan art.
Okay.
I'm talking like the ones where it's like an epic scenery, and or like it'll be like Darth Talon in this forest or something, where it's just a lot of ambiance, a lot of stuff like that. And I honestly never even dug into her until I started doing research on Krayt for the show, just because I'm not a
Back solo girl.
Oh, dang.
That's a great segue.
Great segue.
What into what?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I got really into
My lighting is real
Old Republic. Really into Old Republic and never really went past the original trilogy and Legends. So that is probably the biggest reason why I haven't heard of her. Or I think I have heard of her, but I didn't do any research up until Krayt.
Yeah. And amazing warrior. She was known for her fighting skills. She used a true, I can never say that, whatever that was, it Form 4, the acrobatic, Yoda and all that garbage. She was very acrobatic in her fighting style, very aggressive. She was trained as an assassin, so she was amazing. One of the things that I think was in her story where she was brought in and trained. I can't remember the dude's name, but she was trained under whoever that was. That he was also a Twilight, and Krayt had kind of assigned him to her. And then as her final act of the getting her official title or whatever, it was like, kill him, kill your master. Okay. It's like nothing, dead. And that sort of dedication to the Sith way is not abnormal. We see that all the time. But Cam, you alluded to something that was very different about her, that she maybe was the most loyal Sith ever, if that's a thing. Could you expand on that?
I mean, if you look into her story, I mean, she kind of just was following Krayt till the end. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't really have any faith in actually turning Cade Skywalker to the dark side, but was still just rolling with it because Krayt was like, you got to do this. You know what I mean? And by any means, we need to do what we got to do to turn him. And I think overall, like, even though she did technically kill the person that did train her, in terms of being loyal to Krayt, I mean, she was just, you don't really see that in terms of Sith, I feel like. And just pure determination to follow whatever Krayt tells her to do, I think is admirable for a Sith, because I don't think we've seen any type of what's the word I'm looking for? Any type of
obedience?
Kind of, yeah, I guess you could say, yeah, that'd be the word.
The obedience that we would see was, you don't understand, I must obey my master. That's what we have always got from the apprentices. And you're right. In this case, there was none of that. It was, okay, I'll do what you say because I believe. And this goes back to when I talk a lot about manipulation versus influence, right? Krayt had influence, just like Palpatine had influence. I mean, yes, you can manipulate and get people to do what you want, but not in that grand scheme like that. Palpatine was beautifully orchestrated influence into the Senate, with his bureaucrats. There was some manipulation and movement of pieces, but he had influence. Krayt did the same dang thing, and he got all these other Sith to go along with him. Like, what? Every Sith wants their own vision and their own power. And he got them all to follow. That wasn't manipulation, man. That was influence. And that sort of influence created a bond with, I think, Talon that different than the Force bond that, you know, Rey and Kylo have, and the Force bond that Cade and her had. Cade Skywalker and Darth Talon had a Force bond, but different. I think. Oh my god! Oh, there's a throwback to the article we were just talking about. You have unlimited power, yes. So, but yeah, I agree. Zane, what do you when it comes to that sort of loyalty? Have we seen anything like that else? I mean, not even maybe in the Jedi Order you see that.
You'd have to go back as far as I can remember to if you want to include. Well, it's not Sith though.
It's okay if it's not Sith. I just don't think even
Revan and his Revan and everyone who followed him would be the closest.
Yeah, and again,
because
there you go.
No matter what path you picked, it was always they would follow you to the end.
It's true. What is that? What is that nugget in that arc or in those arcs or that writing? What is it that draws us to the dark side and to be, oh my god, yes, that's awesome. What is it? I can't put my finger on it, and I really never have. I know that whenever I think of the Jedi Order, there's just so much dang hypocrisy in what they did and didn't do, and said you can't have attachments and whatever. And I talked about this in the TikTok live in the pre-show. You had Anakin trying to rationalize his attachment because through the use of the word compassion, right? And compassion is love, and if love is compassion, then attachments are encouraged. But no, not really. Not really, Anakin. Why do you think that is with that? I think that's a huge piece that the Sith encouraged those attachments and the Jedi did not. Why was that?
Going, Zane?
Yeah, I can go. Well, the Sith with attachments, it's always, I mean, emotions are strong. They're very strong. You can do a lot with emotions, even in real life. Yep. I mean, think of someone being hurt or in some way or wanting to start a fight, and then for some reason you see this ungodly amount of strength come out of them.
Look, I'm not a ginormous Michael Jordan fan, but the dude had the flu and came out and scored 28 or whatever in the second half and won the game. Like, that's it's a crazy example, oversimplifying, but yeah, I think
emotions can drive a real person to greatness. Why? Imagine having force powers and being able to exponentially grow in that kind of way.
This is I think this fits into what we're talking about right now. Even, yeah, David, it kind of goes both ways, and the amount of power that these force wielders had at their disposal, that they continued to find holocrons and learn and grow. I don't know. I think if you look at the Jedi, it was that might cause you to doubt, so don't do it. That might, but that was only for everybody. Can't we agree that Yoda maybe knew a little more than he was supposed to? Mace knew a little more than he was supposed to.
Well, I would argue that like the Jedi did have attachments. Like,
100%.
You could see it in the final fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan, how hurt Obi-Wan was when he had finally cut Anakin down. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I would argue that in Attack of the Clones, and it might be a little too headcanon-y. I mean, I would feel Yoda probably felt a certain type of way finally seeing Dooku with the red lightsaber.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And in the Tales of the Jedi, I think they captured Dooku perfectly when he's talking to Yaddle and he sees Qui-Gon after the fight with Maul, and he talks with Yaddle, and he's like, "They grow up so fast," and then he pauses and he's like, "Our students," to catch himself. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because Dooku had that attachment to Qui-Gon. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that was why I always liked the dark side in a sense because it felt like you couldn't have that was feel like you achieved true balance in the force when you were able to tap into both sides, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And the dark side seemed more reasonable because I mean, yeah, you take these kids when they're little and train them up to be Jedi, but they end up growing attached to their masters because they're their father or mother figures. You know what I mean? And so it's just this constant loop and I feel like with the dark side they always just seem like yeah, they're evil, but like you get it in a
Yeah.
way. It's kind of hard to explain, but you just get it. Yeah. I mean,
So in the First Order, they got children and raised them to be stormtroopers. And what's different than the Jedi? They raised them to be little tiny warriors. So is there a difference in the First Order and the Jedi Order in the way they treated children? I wouldn't. I would say no. Yes. Yes. Agreed. Thank you, Josiah. Yeah, those Tales from the Jet. Those episodes with Dooku were really good.
oh, so good.
Well written, well acted, voice acted. It's really good. Um, so let's talk about her kind of role in pulling Cade. Cade and was, I think, going along with it to get close to Krayt, but in the end, he got the best of all of them. He's I so some of that story reminded me of Dark Disciple, where you had Ventress and I can't remember his name, but Jedi Master was assigned. I just read the book like 2 months ago. I can't remember the dude's name, but Jedi Master assigned with Ventress to go assassinate Dooku, and they fell in love and whatever. It's like, okay, you got to stop putting Jedi with these dark side women because they can't. They fall every single time. And
Quinlan
but
Voss.
that kind of do it.
Quinlan Voss.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, was it Voss?
Was it Voss? I thought it was.
Voss. I'm gonna have to look
I
that
feel
up.
like that sounds right. All right.
It sounds
I'll
right
check it out.
too. Dark Disciple. Look at us.
Here's Quinlan Voss.
It was. You already looked at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So
Let's
yeah,
go.
Quinlan Voss. Great book. I've talked about it a couple times on the show. Yeah. So that seems to start to be a little bit of a thing too. Dark side women and men falling for them, Jedi falling for them. I think it's a little different with Cade though. Cade had a plan, I believe. I don't think he was ever fully being swayed by the dark side. And she knew it. I think you alluded to that earlier, that she didn't agree with trying to pull Cade over, Cam. I think you said.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's anything to that. If that's something we'll see in other aspects of the Star Wars universe, but we've got two examples right there of a dark side woman leading a Jedi man astray, if you will. But going back to the attachments piece, she did have an attachment. They had a bond. Talon to Kate, and I think when we look at the way the Force bond was explained there versus the way it was explained in what was that, the dyad and the Force, it was really explained in the last movie. What was that? Rise of Skywalker. Sorry, it's so impactful. I forgot the title. So we have that there too. This Force bond bit. I don't know if we'll see any more of that, because I think that's kind of already been done a couple times. But I think it's interesting to kind of kind of get into a little bit. What is it about in the Rise of Skywalker when we find all that out about Snoke, not Rise of Skywalker, the one before that, Last Jedi? No, whatever. Snoke was the one that created that Force dyad thing in between them. So we're led to believe, and he says, that's different than what happened with Cade and Darth Talon. That was something that was not instituted or put on them or put them to get that just happened based within their battle. So I think there's a big difference. I'm talking a lot here, but I'm trying to get to this point. There's a huge difference, I think, between those two instances. And one I believe is really pure and kind of cool. And that is with, I was about to say Mara Jade and Luke. No, but here we are again, dark side woman, Jedi fallen for. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about that whole Force bond thing, but I think it's worth kind of touching on. What are y'all's thoughts on the two different ways and just anything about the Force bond, really?
I think the Darth Talon, Cade, Mara Jade, Luke, it kind of makes more sense as you spend time with the person. You're connected with them on an emotional level because you battle with them, you train with them. And I mean, I just read the Empire trilogy, so the Mara Jade Luke kind of bond that's being built there is kind of fresh in my head. But you know what I mean? And it's like all throughout the book, she'll have a conversation with Luke, and it's like, you will kill Luke Skywalker, right? It's in her head, but she's like, just when I'm reading it, I'm like, it doesn't really feel like, I mean, she can't, she doesn't want to, you know what I mean? Because she's seeing how compassionate, despite knowing that she wants to kill him, he's like, well, I want to work with you. I need your help right now. You know what I mean? And I think that the bonds that Talon and Cade have, it's just more organic and it makes more sense because in the sequels, it just kind of felt like, I mean, really, do these people have something in like after the fight in the throne room in The Last Jedi, like, it would make more sense as to them having, that was kind of the first real organic interaction I feel like they kind of had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, but I think that's just what it is. Like, it's just organic, and how all relationships are kind of built on. I mean, you're kind of paired with this person in school, and you kind of become their friend or something. You know what I mean? Whether it's romantical or just friendships, I think. So,
I like your use of the word organic. It's more believable because that kind of stuff just happens, right? I mean, we each have significant others, and it just happens. It's not like someone's moving the chess piece. It just happens.
You can't really explain it. I mean, it's just like it's like when Leia's talking with Luke. Like, why? Why do you have to go fight this dude? Why do you have to go? And he's like, I know. I feel the good in him. You know what I mean? And it's just, that's organic, I think, is the Force within it, is the Force in nature, you know?
Wow.
That's what the Force is.
That's a snippet right there. That's a sound bite. No,
hello, TikTok.
That's right. You're on there now. Yeah. So I think the last little bit I want to kind of touch on with her before we move on a little is her cult following. The mention of softcore earlier and our giggles because we're a bunch of dudes and just giggle at stuff like that. But no, I don't. The Twi'lek species in Star Wars, this is just fact. It is a part of slave trade and sex slave trade as well. You see it in Return of the Jedi with Jabba owning one, and you see all through the games too, dancers and whatever. You could even be a Twi'lek dancer in the Galaxies game, which I did because I got a lot of money dancing and buffing people. That's what you did, and God, we're children. So Star Wars is made for children. No. So when you take a Twilight and then you make her, even more accentuated in areas and putting on the armor that she had or lack of armor, then yeah, there is a lot of fan art out there that we would not show on this show. But my point is more, wow, how captivating this character was or is, that there are so many people willing to spend all this time creating them in other positions or situations, which is okay. It's art or whatever. Did she have to look like that or be like that? No. But she does. And would Cade have been attracted to her otherwise? I don't know. Maybe. Captain Kirk, she had red skin, blue skin, green skin, didn't matter. 5 eyes or 2, didn't matter. Was Cade like that? I hope not. Captain Kirk was kind of gross. But when you look at the amount of that following, I don't know that there's any other character. Oh, there is another female character that I've seen a lot on like that. Bounty Hunter. Zam.
Sam?
Zam.
Zam?
I think so. Maybe not. No, not Zam.
I'd see Aura Singh over Zam.
It wasn't Aura Singh. Anyhow. I just thought it was cool. That is the... I'm trying to talk this in PG-13 and it's just not working.
I feel like she can be feminine in her appearance, kind of, attractive, right? But still powerful, right? I don't feel like anything that kind of, you have some fan art that can't show on the screen or whatever, but it's like, she can still, you can still be attractive and powerful at the same time, whether you're fully clothed with a mask on, or you have Darth Talon attire or Slave Leia attire. I don't know.
No, and Star Wars has never been. I have disagreed for a very long time with the fan base that says that there's no women in Star Wars that are powerful, whatever. Leia was she was badass. Like that's the first. She was amazing, and all the little girls wanted to be Princess Leia, and all the boys wanted to be Luke, and we all played on the playground and fought and had fun. Darth Talon would absolutely be powerful Sith Lord or Sith assassin that just would could do acrobatic saber fight, just amazing. I would love to see this in live action. I would love to see her in live action in a real movie, and so. Going back to what we talked about earlier in the show, George Lucas, do you think that Taika Waititi might include some of that in his, or is he not capable of that series? No, talk to me. Zane, go ahead. You started shaking first.
Let me pull up the quote where he said, "It will be a Taika." I can't say his name. Yeah.
Taika Waititi.
It'll be one of his films. It won't be a Star Wars film. And so I think regardless on content of the film, which we now know that at some point in the process, Filoni will have his hands on it.
True.
Hope.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. I think he's going to take it in a completely different direction. Looking at his previous movies, it's not convincing enough in that favor. I don't think he's gonna do anything like that.
No, I love Ragnarok. You brought that up earlier, Cam.
Ragnarok's
but I
great.
would not love Star Wars in the style of Ragnarok.
It's too bright.
Well, I saw it when Taika Waititi was talking about the Thor movies. He's like, I didn't read the Thor comics as a kid. Like, I just thought this would be a great way for me to feed my kids. I was poor. You know what I mean? And again, I talked about what I don't know her name. I think it's Iman something, the Miss Marvel actress, talking about how they can get people back in theaters, get the Avengers Endgame level hype, right? I said it last week too. You got to get people in there that love Star Wars. They love the world. They love the genre. You know what I mean? And I mean, if Taika Waititi's going to go in there and just make his own film, like, okay, well, you're a good filmmaker. We like Ragnarok, but like, do you understand Star Wars? Like, are you going to create characters that fans are going to want to interact with and buy the toys, buy the shirts? You know what I mean? Have the posters in their room. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, you get somebody like Dave who's got a Plo Koon costume or figure in his garage. You know what I mean? You got a Sam Witwer, you got a Freddie Prinze Jr. type. You know what I mean? Like, you get those people in there that actually care about the story. They care about the world instead of just a bunch of people that are in there trying to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I feel like movies as a whole have lost their way in a way. And I feel like if he's just going to go in there and do his own thing, that's cool and all. I want it to be good. Like I said last week, I want Star Wars to be great. I love people that love the sequels, even if I'm not the biggest fan of them. But like, we got to get some people want to make good content that understand kind of the boundaries that we're set in, you know.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if they let Dave do it, they can do it. But I mean, I don't know. I think he's going to create something that we've probably never seen, and it may be good. Rogue One was great, but
Yeah.
never know.
And he's directed some of the episodes of Mandalorian, I believe, along with some other folks that didn't have huge Star Wars backgrounds, and they did great, huh?
Was that the Jack Black episode? That seemed more his style.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head which episodes.
It would make sense if it was.
Let's see. Because we have the interwebs right here. What was it? Mandalorian.
Chapter 8.
Did you find it? You're so fast.
Wait, that was in the first season.
It was first season, yeah.
I think he's done a few in multiple seasons, I feel like.
He was also IG-11. I didn't realize that. He was also he's the guy that started the revolution, right? I think that was him too.
It is.
Aurora Singh.
Man,
I think.
What was this?
I think Darth Zane.
That's
what we were talking about earlier. So yeah, I guess it was Aurora Singh. Aurora.
Yeah.
Aurora Singh. Oh, not Aurora.
Singh.
Aurora Singh.
Aurora Singh. Yeah. Aurora Singh.
Is that the bounty hunter they find on that one planet in the last
That's
film?
in the first one. Whenever the pod race is happening, they show a glimpse of her.
She's very pale.
Taking care of. She's like a
Sam, shapeshifter. Anything she wanted. Yeah. Yeah. Sam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aura Singh. What else here? So yeah, let's move through this. So when we look at truly located further, the fan theory piece of all this. So we were moving into this, seeing if maybe a Darth Talon type figure would.
Hold up.
Oh, talk to me, Goose. Oh. We already did that. We're now in this fan theory part. We're talking about what's going to happen with these new movies. Shoot. Yeah. So do you feel that I don't want to spend whatever on Waititi, but is it in the right hands? And I guess only time is going to tell, but with Dave Filoni at the top, do you think he's going to have the red ink pen power over what is released the way that Kathleen Kennedy apparently has?
I hope. I don't know. It could be 50-50.
I want it to be true, but
if he has that power,
I don't know.
Do you think we're going to get a Star Wars Ragnarok type movie if he has that power?
In what era?
He gets vetoed. Depends on if Kathleen goes over him.
We just need more speeder bike shots, I think is what. No. I love those memes. They're freaking hilarious. The speeder bike memes with Hera. Yeah. Oh, same.
Yeah.
Unnecessary. Can we say that's unnecessary? You don't need that. This is Disney. This isn't your daddy's Star Wars. This isn't Leia. This is Slave Leia. This is Disney. And I think that is a shift in Disney used to be very subtle in those types of things. For adults, we would get the jokes, right? Just seems very blatant. And I think it's fitting that Hera was brought up there, considering we're talking about Darth Talon, who is very seductive in nature. She got her way by doing certain things or speaking in certain ways and then enacting her own embodiment of the Force on them to get her way. That's not a Hera on a speeder bike type character at all. And if we don't get characters, I think, like that from the dark side in the next couple of years with the Acolyte, with the Eclipse, whatever that's going to end up being, I think they're gonna start really losing us, the fans with jobs and money that continue. Is that not real though? I mean, we're the ones that fund it.
That is. I mean, that's the take. That's why. I mean, I'm glad you said that because that was what I was going to allude to. I would argue they've lost a good fraction of them already. That's kind of what I said last week. Dave coming over might have been too late for some fans, at least. I mean, I think 9 years ago today was when the Force Awakens trailer came out. Like, I remember watching that and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Star Wars is back!"
Heck yeah!
And I mean, if we get
right, Finn popping up in the desert, a stormtrooper with his helmet off in the middle of the desert. What's going on? And why is he looking low?
Yeah, and I'm like, what are we about to get? And if they can capture something like that, I feel like we can be on the right track. But I don't know. The Acolyte's going to be pretty big because they need to.
Josiah, I swear.
They gotta that's gonna be a hit or miss for a lot of people. I'm hoping it's like HBO style or budget for the Sith. That would be great, but it'll be hit or miss, I feel like.
What, Zane?
Nothing.
Oh,
I was just crossing my fingers.
Crossing your fingers.
Yeah.
We don't got to talk about Love and Thunder, Darsane.
I was about to say, yeah, this. We don't talk about that. Man, we could have gone all night, David, without hearing that. Come on.
I laughed so hard though with the goats though. I don't think my wife and I laughed that hard since probably the first Deadpool movie. I was just like, what is going on?
I remember sitting in the theater watching the second one. Right at the opening, the second, episode 7, 8, whatever. Why was it The Last Jedi? Sitting in the theater watching that in the opening, the moment Luke taught, like, I was curmudgeon, like, that's not my Luke, you know?
They lost me 5 minutes in. I'm out of there.
It's tough because I want more content. I want more Star Wars, and I want to find the good in them, just like Luke found in his father. I want to find that good, and that second movie, or episode 8, is not the greatest of the 3, for sure. The worst, in my opinion. One per season. Watiti directed 1 per season. Awesome.
What do y'all think was worse, the character assassination for Luke in The Last Jedi or Thor in Love and...
Repeat that? What was what?
Oh.
We lost him. He locked up.
He asked, what did we think was worse for the character assassination of Luke in The Last Jedi or Thor and Love and Thunder?
It's tough. Probably Luke, just for me, because I grew up with expanded universe and what he became. He became way greater of a Jedi than what they even depicted to him at the end, giving his life, force projection across whatever he got. Like, yes, amazing, superpower. Probably should have made the list of top 5 if I'm being critical of myself. But that was not the Luke I was expecting to get. Shame on me, I guess, for expecting a certain type of Luke. But I don't think it was wrong for us to want that. I don't think it was wrong of them to not give us that either. There was nothing about that character that I think Luke, Mark Hamill has been vocal since about he didn't like it either. But ultimately, he acted his ass off and did his best for that role, and I have super respect for him. I think our boy Thor, Chris Hemsworth, yes, Chris Hemsworth, probably felt the same way, and I haven't seen anything. Doesn't mean he hasn't said it. I just haven't seen anything where it was like, yeah, that was stupid. But I acted my ass off, which he did. He's a consummate professional.
He said that if he came back and did another one, he would prefer it to be not what the last 2 films had kind of portrayed Thor as. Which I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, like it's their property. Like they own it. They can do whatever they want with it. They have no right to give us, like you said. But at the end of the day, like no matter what Kathleen says, there is source material.
Yeah,
and we know there is stuff to go off of for the future, and you don't have the original 3 interact with each other on screen in your sequel trilogy when they're all old of age. That's when it made no sense.
So. Yeah. You had a hodgepodge. That's a great point. You had a hodgepodge of opportunities where everyone kind of saw each other, but never everyone at once.
Our heroes lost at the end of the day. Han was a deadbeat dad who failed. Leia, I don't know. I guess Leia didn't really have any type of arc. I feel like, yeah. And Luke quit the Jedi because his nephew had a bad dream.
Night terrors.
Yeah. And Leia, I would say she wasn't what we anticipated her being. Not from what we learned in the expanded universe, and her and Han were awesome together. They were a huge force against, the battling against forces of evil in the galaxy together. And even in times when they weren't, super solid, they were still together and they still made shit work. And I think we missed out on Mara Jade and Luke, and we missed out on all those things that made these characters, going back to what you said about Sith in general, more relatable. I could relate to Luke and his struggle with his father. For anyone who knows me in my past, that makes total sense. I could relate to Emperor Palpatine later on in life, wanting to do this and that with my life and my vision, and needing to learn how to influence folks to get there. When I look at these new movies, it's like, if I don't have a Force dyad, I guess not going to have a hero situation. And it's someone else that gives me that. There's no control I have over. That's where I feel like these movies really missed the mark. They pulled the control out of the individual. Yes, you have the control to go light or dark side, but those critical pieces, our heroes had no control. Our heroes weren't heroes.
I mean, how unlikable is the New Republic now? Like, I haven't gotten too deep into Legends. Like, I just finished Heir of the Empire trilogy, so I'm still kind of going. But like, I feel like the New Republic now, especially in the TV shows, they are just so unlikable, and like, oh my gosh. Like,
in the expanded universe, there was a lot of the political that came out, and I loved it. I loved getting to see the inner workings of it. I loved that the Bothans, which were huge in Return of the Jedi, in the success through their spying, ended up being like the ones that were in the Senate were totally like underhanded and destroying shit from within. Like that's meat and story to the story. Why these things are happening, and we just don't get any of that. And we didn't get that kind of stuff in the original trilogy. The super political workings in the background. We got more of that in the prequels, for sure. But we got none of that in the sequel trilogies. But mainly because the New Republic was destroyed. So there wasn't a lot of political anything to that.
I don't know. I hope the content they continue to give us in these next few years is good. I want the Rey movie to be good. I don't know if it is going to be, but I want it to be, and I want the fan base to be rocking. You know, that's all I want.
Certainly, there's risk, right? Getting material like Thrawn. Thrawn was a huge risk for them to bring into Rebels, and they did it successfully, but they did it carefully. They did it not exact, but they did pay homage to the original through Zahn's character. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, they actually talked to Zahn as a consultant for the character.
Yes. Well, because Zahn had already got the green light from Disney to write the first Thrawn book itself when Rebels was starting to be made. And so it was a no-brainer to have the character who made Thrawn be a consultant for how Thrawn was handled. And it was talked about that both Mikkelsen, who voiced Thrawn, like he had talked to Zahn about how to do all this stuff and how it felt, but also the voice actor in all the books and the audiobooks had talked to Timothy Zahn as well, just because of how important he was to Thrawn the character. And so I think that is the only reason why Thrawn was as good as he was in Rebels. It was because they did use Thrawn or Zahn.
Ladies and gentlemen, our resident Thrawn expert, Zane Martin.
I don't know. I don't know, Darth Zane. I don't know if I agree with that take. I don't know.
Yes. But Exile for Obi-Wan was about watching over Luke. It wasn't about exile. And exile, though, for Yoda was, I got to get the F out. I agree completely with that. I failed. But see, my problem isn't with what they did. It's why they did it. I think that's not the Luke that I knew from, and I get it. It's the expanded universe is not canon, but that's my biggest hang up. I couldn't get over. Sure, you introduce Rey, Finn, and these other characters, which are essentially the characters from the first series, but all these characters I didn't know. They were fresh and new, but you brought in a character that I did know, and it was out of character, maybe not for what you're stating, and I agree, David, but it was out of character for what I knew him to be based on what I had read. Maybe not fair for me, but
I feel like the main problem is, and this is kind of answering what David said earlier, kind of like they had been training or whatever. It's so much of the sequels that happens off screen, and it doesn't really kind of make any sense. Like I would have had no problem if Luke, fails the way he fails. Say if we saw it in Force Awakens, you know what I mean? How he's just Finn is turning to the dark side. He's failing his best friend and his sister and his family by losing this kid to the dark side. And in a moment of weakness, he tries to end it, which I still, honestly, at the end of the day, don't really agree with anyways, because his mass murdering father, he saw good in. I feel like Luke sees the good in everybody. He saw the good in Mara Jade, who wanted to kill him. That was her mission. That's what she told him, And I don't know.
That's not canon.
Oh, okay, but it's some sort of source material, right? And
no,
I don't know. We could talk about this till our mouse go dry.
No, I get it. The Luke that we knew, not even expanded universe, the Luke that we knew that was the only person in the world that believed, even his own sister didn't believe his father was savable. Leia didn't even believe that Kylo was savable. That's a whole nother episode.
Palpatine didn't believe he was savable.
Who?
Palpatine didn't believe. He was like, you can't turn him. Like he is so far gone. Like I have done my job.
Foolish
like,
boy.
He's not turning. And Luke's like, no, I'm a Jedi like my father before me.
So I agree with you. The Luke that as he was portrayed in the films would not have tried to strike down his nephew. Just I can't imagine that. But that's what we got, and that is canon, and that's what happened. So that's at least for now, unless they wipe it and start over, which I don't see them doing. Oh man, we got some good stuff here. Okay, hold up. I love this. We're gonna have to get Josiah on our Cantina happy hour with Darth Zane.
I'm saying we gotta. I would love to talk about this for hours.
We can, not tonight though. It's already 9:12. Oh, look at this! Boom, boom, boom. He failed because he failed me. Fell back exactly what his masters had done. Look at this. It's good. It's good. All these comments will end up in the what you call it, won't they? Yeah, they end up on the feed. Just letting folks read this. It is honestly a brilliant portrayal of the character. So Darth Zane likes what they did from Luke Skywalker, and I see that point too. That we made him human again. In the expanded universe, what I miss? I haven't seen that.
Josiah's fired up. We're about to get to this probably. My guy's fired up.
We'll get there. Yeah, it's that's true. That's true too. You know, you got Yoda. Everyone loved Yoda. Yoda fighting Palpatine. He lost. What? Like what? And we knew that had to happen. This is the precursor to all the garbage. But seeing that played out on the screen, that was tough. Yoda was like, oh, wars that make people great. Okay, here we go. This is oh,
my guy's fired up.
Man. So yeah, let's wrap it up. Great show tonight. We talked about several times about Watiti and his project being talked about this last week as well. We talked about the new games coming out, the more adultish with Outlaws and Eclipse. We also touched on how Darth Talon was amazing character, well written, loyal to the end, which is just a rarity to just sit as a Sith, sit in a spot and know that's your role and just be that. I mean, even the Grand Inquisitor had, his own motivations for doing what he was doing. So then we went to what? Oh, we talked about George Lucas and how he was like, no, totally. Darth Talon would have absolutely been in sequels that I wrote, and which is amazing, and not for the reasons I think that I don't know. He did put Slave Leia together, so
he's just a character, man. He's so funny. He's like, yeah, I don't consider Legends canon, but I'm going to use that character for sure in the movies.
100%. Wow, Lucas. What else? We talked about article on geeknewsnow.net, top 5 overpowered abilities. Go argue there, Josiah. I'm sure you will disagree with something on there. Also, make sure, David, you go tell me I'm full of it on whatever. We did talk about one of them, 2 of them, actually, I thought. We talked about the Darth Nihilus Force Drain, and then what was the other one? Did we talk about another one? The last one? Oh, of course.
Healing.
We got into Force Healing, Essence Transfer, I think is what officially Essence Transfer. And here, you take it. No, you take it. No, please. Wait, I didn't expect you to actually take it. Like, that's one of those situations at the end of that movie where she saves him, he saves her, and then everyone's like, oh, sad.
Don't forget that giant snake lizard she healed too.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up earlier. I'm just going to walk up to this beast. But the ability to, I guess that's another ability is, what do you call it? Not animal mastery, but there is like a beast mastery force power that is in canon because what's his name uses it? Anakin uses it on or whatever on the beast in, I can't remember the name of the beast in the arena on Geonosis. So
yeah,
that
Cal tames in the games too.
Yeah,
I think in Survivor he tames the little bird things you can fly around with. I think. Yeah, I don't know.
And the Dathomir witches, Night Sisters, tame Rancor monsters through the Force. So those are cool, man. Those are cool. Yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff tonight, man. And thank you, Josiah, for letting us know this was a good episode. We hope to think that they're at least somewhat enjoyable. More enjoyable than, let's say, Thor: Love and Thunder. So on that note, any parting shots? What do you guys get going on this week? Cam, what do you got going on?
I honestly don't got a whole lot going on. Just gaming, Survivor, working. I think my mother-in-law's birthday is on Sunday, so we're gonna go see her, and that's pretty much it. Actually, I think I'm gonna go riding a Tesla on Saturday for the first time. Me and Josiah's buddy just got a Model Y, so we're gonna go check that out. I've never ridden in one before, so I'm pretty.
Go cruise for 300 miles before you have to charge. Awesome.
Hey, it's not my car. I like it though.
Real.
Rolling that coal power. All right. So, Zane, what do you got going on? Any tournaments or anything?
I don't know, honestly. All I know is I got finals coming up next week.
Oh, Godspeed, man. I don't miss that.
Oh, you know, I've seen you and talked with you through the show, through text, seeing you, a couple times. I mean, a lot this month. And I've yet to ask about your actual grades in school. So we'll talk offline.
Now's the perfect time to talk about it.
Right in front of God.
I'll let you know after finals.
Yeah, let you know after finals. Yeah, I'm pulling for a 72. If I make a 72, is all I need for. My daughter. She's going back to school as well. God bless her. With being a mom and working, and wonderful husband. There as well, doing what he can to make sure that she can go back to school. So great on her. She was so excited. She got a B on one of her exams. My response was, "Woohoo! B's to get degrees, man!" Because if there what, yeah, we'll leave that for another episode. But no, good on all y'all. Again, folks, we talked about at the top of the show. We are not going to be live next week. I will be in California, and I will hopefully be in a position where I could do a live TikTok, and we will be maybe at the beach like last time. So all that being said, we will be back the week after talking about, I don't know, but we will absolutely let you know when we know. And Cam, Zane, we'll see if we can't get y'all back on. We'll have to get Solo Girl, or maybe we pull Josiah and Darth Zane on for a little bit to
oh yeah,
go at it.
I would love that.
Oh man. All right, folks. Well, Cam, thank you for joining. Zane, thank you for joining. Great show. And we will see everyone in a couple of weeks. And remember, kids, peace is alive. There's only passion. Good night.